Under the usual bright sun entering November in the zodiac sign of Sagittarius, the mountain slopes no longer populated by farmers are the scene of hunting activities. Meanwhile, down below, work is in full swing at the gates of the city of Trento. However, the sun does not have the same strength it shows in the summer months, so much so that the shaped rocks of the mountains are tinged with orange and pink hues. To emphasize the changing seasons, the Bohemian painter enjoys highlighting the arrival of autumn by dotting the base of the trees with carpets of leaves. The upper portion of the fresco is reserved for hunting. However, it does not depict small prey for falconry, as in September. On this occasion it shows a bear with her cubs. Here the steep slopes provide the setting for the encirclement strategy adopted by the beaters. Once the bear's presence had been detected by a horn player and driven on by the barking of dogs, the beast was surrounded by men armed with spears and sticks. Made from animal horns, this instrument was used in various contexts in the Middle Ages. Its use in hunting is documented in numerous frescoes and illuminated folios, including those in the Adige Valley. Known as the Oliphant, the horn called soldiers to battle, such as the famous Battle of Roncesvalles, where it was sounded by the knight Roland. Since ancient times, it had been used as a drinking horn. It eventually became a musical instrument, sometimes depicted in place of trumpets in miniatures of the Last Judgment. Its size requires a strap or belt so that it can be easily hung over the shoulder. The direction of the sound, indicated by the horn's bell, defines who the warning is directed at. Once the encirclement is complete, two groups of aristocrats on horseback are ready to spring into action. As in other fiefdoms, in the valleys and mountains of Trentino, the nobles were the only ones who could exercise the right to hunt large game in the dense forests that covered most of the territory. Like falconry, bear hunting was not only considered a noble pastime, but also served as preparation for warfare. Perhaps some of the Prince Bishop's learned guests could identify in the bear hunt a reference to the famous myth already recounted by Ovid in his Metamorphoses, through one of the manuscript editions of the time. That of the beautiful nymph Callisto, one of Diana's companions. Desired by Jupiter in the guise of the goddess of the hunt, upon discovering her pregnancy, Callisto was sent away and transformed into a bear by the jealous Juno, wife of the Lord of the Gods. Without Jupiter's intervention, who transformed her into the constellation Ursa Major, Callisto's son, who had become a skilled hunter, encountered his mother unaware of everything, and was about to bring about a tragic ending. In the legendary inserts proposed from time to time in the cycle, the presence of the bear could evoke another story for guests. That which occurred to Saint Remedius, a hermit from the time of Saint Vigilius, patron saint of Trento. Feeling death approaching, the holy man wanted to reach Trento one last time. When his old horse was devoured by a bear, the man did not lose heart, and climbing onto the back of the beast suitably harnessed, he was able to reach the city. One of the two groups of horsemen seems to have just heard the sound of the horn, as they are still camped near a lit fire, where a more venerable figure, almost allegorical of the approaching winter, is busy warming himself. The other group is already tackling the rocky spurs. In the latter, the figure decorated with a garland of flowers could be that of a young prince. Indeed, confronting a ferocious animal had the function of sealing an initiatory journey and the young man's passage to adulthood. In this elegant figure, perhaps accompanied by a squire, the nobles could also recall the myth of Atalanta and Meleager, the skilled Amazon and the daring hunter, leading the most famous Greek heroes in the hunt for the fearsome Caledonian boar. The spears used may be recognized as the so-called hunting spear, decorated with intertwined leather bands. To increase its effectiveness, side stops were added to the sharp tip, originally consisting of a horn bar. The evolution of the 16th century led to its transformation into a weapon, carried by infantry captains as a status symbol. Whether interpreting them as hunters or men-at-arms, the impression that the prince-bishop wishes to convey to his guests remains the same. The principality is well defended against all dangers by valiant warriors. The city of Trento opened its doors to the people and products of the countryside, beginning its preparations for the approaching winter. To emphasize the importance of the prince-bishop's city, the Bohemian master extended it beyond the twisted column that divides each month, making it an integral part of the November and December landscape. The accurate topographical rendering allows us to enumerate the main gates. The Eagle Gate near the castle, the Holy Cross Gate near the Cathedral of St. Vigilius, and the St. Lawrence Gate near the abbey of the same name. Through a gate in the city walls after crossing the wooden bridge over the moat, some swineherds are about to enter the city. They bring with them the pigs they have been raising outdoors, feeding them acorns from the woods. This is a typical activity for the month of November, recorded in various medieval calendars and books of hours. Traditionally, the meat was processed between the Feast of St. Andrew at the end of November and that of St. Anthony in mid-January. The butchers, salters and lard makers are already at work. Among the cured meats was perhaps the precursor to the renowned speck. In the valleys of Trentino and South Tyrol, this tasty smoked sausage was known as Bernam porcinum and was offered as a snack during haymaking or harvesting in those days. Or a tasty breakfast for the nobles, as the figure coming out of the castle in June seems to indicate. The ancestor of speck seems to have been mentioned as early as 1307, in a regulation issued by the Butchers' Guild of Trento. Whether it was speck or another cured meat, with winter approaching there is no better thought than facing the cold season in the warmth of the wood brought by the woodcutters depicted in December. With the pantries enriched by the wheat of August, and the cellars filled with the good wine of October.
The wild wind of the welkin wrestles with the sun. The leaves fall from the bough and light on the ground. The grass becomes all grey that erst was green, and thus runs the year yesterdays many, and winter returns again without asking any man.